Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to today's middle of the day bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. Finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go, and yes, folks, they really do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's middle of the day bonus upload, shall we? Alright guys, I'm sure many of you are familiar with Andrew Dawson or remember Andrew Dawson. Many people say that he hoaxed us on TikTok with the video of the giant. Some guy that's got 1 million subs made a video saying, oh, it's a fake, there's actually a structure up there, it's a fake. And said that he couldn't find any of his anything except an announcement of his death. Now, I had actually found out that I found his obituary, I found the announcement, I found the funeral home that hosted his memorial and stuff like that. Also, I 100% believe that he was silenced because of the video he captured. Who cares there's a structure up there? There was still something up there minus that structure. So, government silenced him. Well, is the government going to do the same to this person because of this very interesting video? They've already tried to silence this guy by putting his TikTok or shutting down his TikTok account. He started a new one, and who knows? I hope this guy doesn't become the next Andrew Dawson. Check this video out.
And we just out here, we're chilling, we're out here I hear it. Him. Where's she at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my God. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's crazy. Source 90. The government is legit here. Peep game, let's be sneaky. You're gonna be out here doing testing. Testing what? What the fuck are you guys testing? That's what I want to know. You all know Source 90 has heard certain things out in the ocean, and then my TikTok gets banned, and then the government shows up my boat. It's too many fucking coincidences. fucking love my job, I swear. I hear it. I hear him. Where's he at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my god. Crazy. Sauce 9, you know what it is, man. Just finished another fishing trip. Whole fishing trip. Heard no noises whatsoever. Until we got into unload. Peep this video. Crazy. At the docks though? Hey yo, you hear that? I know what the fuck that is. I know what the fuck that is. That bitch followed me the fuck in. Oh, at the docks though? No way. No way. So I came into work today. Look who's back. Look who's back. Look what's back on my fucking boat.
Tonight's first encounter. I'm not really sure how to say this without sounding insane, but in my neighborhood there's a creature that lives around the backwoods and lake. I've seen it once and it scared the ever-living hell out of me. It wasn't super late at night, but it was pretty dark and I had to go to the back gate dumpster compactor to drop off trash for my home. Walking up, I saw a funky-looking silhouette by the compactor door. It was hunched over, and I thought it was digging through the trash bag or something. As I got closer, however, I got a view of this thing's back. Raised spine, tight skin, nasty scars and boils all over. I just kind of stood there, and all of a sudden it shot up. I don't know how tall, but a couple of heads on me, and I'm 5'9", and around 180 pounds. It had these sunken eyes, two protruding fangs and tusks coming out of its mouth. This long, slimy black tongue, which might have been a different color, but it looked black in the dark. And a gash from the top of its head to where I presume the nose would be, like someone had just bashed it over its head. It had these dark red stains all over its mouth region, and out of fear I immediately cast my gaze downward. In its hands was a raccoon, heavily emphasized on was. The raccoon was nothing more than a red lump in its hands, with only the head still really identifiable. It stared at me for what felt like an eternity, then jumped into the tree above the dumpster without doing anything. Guess I wasn't a threat. I haven't seen it since, but every so often I leave something to eat out by the lake for it, next to the drainage pipe opening in the retention pond. Every time I go there, what I leave is gone. So I guess it likes what I left. Good enough for me. Tonight's second encounter is a subscriber Dogman encounter. Hello Jeff, I'm a subscriber of yours, and I really enjoy the recounts of not just your subscribers, but also your personal account. I live in a small town in a small county in southwest Arkansas. I've only told a few people about these events that have happened for fear of ridicule or sounding crazy. I stopped telling it. It was a series of events that happened a few years ago, and feel free to tell it if you want or not. It's up to you. My son has friends that hung around with him in high school, and they were here at my house playing cards, dominoes, video games, basketball at the school near the house, etc. They were here every day, almost, and most nights. One is a football player, one's a basketball player, and 3 of them work for the sheriff's department as I type this. They were all playing basketball at the school, which at the time had no light, and it was dark, so they were playing in the dark except for the far-off streetlight. This was told by every one of them. Keep in mind there is no road behind the school. They all came back to the house huffing and puffing out of breath and scared shitless. I finally got them to calm down and tell me what happened, and their encounter is as follows. They were playing horse in the dark when all of a sudden in the thick brush they heard what they described as a huge dog being ran over by a vehicle, and they stopped playing to listen. Then the bushes started shaking violently, and a light in one of the classrooms came on as they were running away. At 10 p.m., a light comes on, I asked. They were all adamant, so I said, okay, let's go see. I can say with all honesty that after we all loaded up with bats and machetes, that when we got to the school, I didn't want to get out, and neither did they. There was like a heavy darkness behind the school, and the headlights were struggling to penetrate. We all got out except for one, and to this day they don't like talking about it. The story doesn't end there either. About a week after that happened, it was a dark night with a crescent moon, and there was a loud howling right beside my house where there are no lights. Some people I know will say dog and wolves aren't around here, but I've heard dogs and I've heard coyote. I spent countless hours in the woods while I was growing up with my 4 brothers and my dad because we did a lot of hunting and fishing or we wouldn't have much meat. This howl vibrated the windows and made the hair on your back of your neck stand up. I turned the porch light on and went out onto the porch, but whatever it was gone. About a month after that, again, it was a very dark night, and there was a howl beside the porch. It was so loud it sounded like it was in the middle of the living room. It had rained the night before, so I thought I would go out and see if there were tracks the next morning. Sure enough, I went outside when it was light out, but still early enough for dew, and found 2 tracks. I wear a size 11, and the tracks weren't as long as mine, but they were almost as wide, and almost the shape of a foot, but different. Wide at the toes, and like a small child's foot at the heel, but no arch, and slimmer than a child's. I put my foot beside them and took pictures, but lost them when I had to factory reset my phone. The story still continues because something happened a few weeks ago that shook me up. At about 1 a.m. I woke up to use the bathroom, and while I was in the bathroom there was a very loud growling outside the bathroom window, like an evil kind of growling and very loud. I asked my neighbor the next morning if he had heard it, and he informed me that he was at work, but the growling had woken his girlfriend up who was sleeping. We haven't seen anything yet, just heard it. But if it looks like it sounds, then I don't want to see it. I'm glad to finally get this out, and I appreciate you giving me and others an outlet to clear the air. Thank you for your time. Today's third part of the upload. Last night I talked about a English podcast, and they were discussing a entity that was spotted out by an airport. They went back and found some deer legs, and they did a little discussion about Old Stinker. I wanted to shine some light on the Old Stinker legend for some of you guys who don't know about it, and maybe just a little recap for those of us who do. Stories of the supernatural terror stalking the wilds of East Yorkshire, England, have been making rounds for centuries. Here there is much lore concerning ravenous werewolves prowling the night, to the point that in Saxon times there were places along the roads built specifically for travelers to come in out of the night and be safe from the ferocious beasts out in the moor and the woodlands. Of the many stories of werewolves going back to at least the 12th century, one of the most notorious was one tale that began in the 18th century of a werewolf called Old Stinker, due to the fact that it was said to have a putrefying breath and was constantly followed by a putrefying cloud of stench. Old Stinker was said to have brightly glowing red eyes and a powerful tail that was used as a weapon, and the lore says it especially liked to wait in ambush along the roads to attack stagecoach and travelers. So far, this sounds very much like mere spooky local lore and legend, probably based on the fact that it was here where some of England's last remaining wolves roamed, often rooting through graveyards and terrifying the populace. But what if it was something more? The legend of Old Stinker might have faded away in history entirely as the wolves went extinct, but it was thrust out of obscurity and back into the public conscious when in 1960 a truck driver came forward and claimed that his vehicle had been viciously attacked by an 8-foot upright bipedal wolf with glowing red eyes as he had been driving outside of the town of Kingston upon the Hall, often just called Hall. The creature would apparently smash the windshield of the truck before looping off into the night, and this report would resurrect the old legend of Old Stinker when locals connected it to the old stories. After this harrowing encounter, there were no further sightings of whatever it had been until very recently, when the area of the Hall began to experience a string of reports of encounters with what seems to have been the same beast of lore. In December of 2015, a terrified witness came forward with her own experience of coming across a hulking, wolf-like creature near the man-made storm drain canal called Bromston Drain, near the town of Beverly in Hall, which lies adjacent to a sprawling woodland called the Yorkshire Woods. The woman said that the estimated 8-foot-tall creature was massive and muscular, and that she saw it go from 4-leg gait to walking upright on 2 legs. She would tell the Express newspaper. It stood upright one moment. The next, it was down on all fours running like a dog. I was terrified. It bounded along on all fours, then stopped and reared up onto its back legs before running down the embankment towards the water. It vaulted 30 feet over to the other side and vanished up the embankment and over a wall into some allotments. Other people began seeing the same beast in the vicinity of the drain over the coming months, including a few reports that were rather wild. In one account, a couple walking through a wooded area by the drain on a leisurely stroll was terrified to see a tall, hairy humanoid beast with a snouted face and powerful tail, crouched over what appeared to be a dead German shepherd, which it was apparently in the process of eating. When it noticed it was being watched, it reportedly picked up the carcass in its powerful jaws and ran off with its prey, jumping over an 8-foot fence in the process. In another report, a woman delivering pizzas was startled to notice a huge, muscular dog-like creature covered in cream and gray fur, and with a expressive human-like face following her car, walking along menacingly on 2 legs. Yet another account came from a pair of witnesses who saw a huge dog-like creature eating something fluffy by the side of the road. The witnesses would say of the encounter, "We were driving along outside of the National Trust property. There were lots of open fields around there, when suddenly I spotted something in the road ahead. It was getting dark, but I saw its eyes reflect in my headlights. We stopped the car, and it was just standing there. We'd heard rumors about an escaped panther in the area, but we'd thought it was a load of nonsense. But when I saw this animal with my own eyes, I was stunned. It was enormous, far too big for a fox or a dog. It was petrifying. It looked like it was on steroids, and it must have weighed 9 stone, or about the same as a slim adult. It looked right at us and walked up to the car. It then lowered the front of its body and looked like it was going to pounce. Some of my mates have said they don't believe me, but we came face to face with this thing, and we know what we saw. There would be at least 6 other reports from people claiming to have seen an actual werewolf roaming the vicinity of the drain, gaining widespread newspaper coverage, and local folklorist and historian Mike Covell would say of some of these accounts, "Since the first article was published in the Mail, I've had calls from papers and websites all over the world. There's been a plethora of sightings in the past few weeks. One man was crossing Fountain Road Bridge when he saw what could only be described as a huge dog with very dark matted hair near the allotments on the side of the Bronston Drain. A married couple saw a large canine on Stepney Lane, where it chased the witness and his friend as they rode home one evening. Another sighting took place on Reform Street, where an eyewitness saw the creature jump over a wall topped with barbed wire. Covell went too far as to organize actual werewolf hunt along Bromston Drain with some other locals, armed with cameras in case they came across the brute, without success. In the meantime, local labor councilor Steve Wilson offered to collect the sightings and report them to the Hall Council. And for the entirety of 2015 and 2016, Hall was featured widely in the news as ground zero for werewolf strangeness. Before the accounts tapered off, despite the high profile of these reports and talk of bloodthirsty wolfmen, some of the local residents have sort of laughed off the whole thing. One 80-year-old resident who has lived in the area his entire life told the Daily Mail, "I used to go swimming in the drain when I was about 7. We used to call it Letty because it was a water source for the local power station. The power station would heat up the water, meaning you could swim in it year-round. The water level was a lot higher than it is now. I wouldn't like to take a dip in it now, though. There's no such thing as a werewolf, though. I have never seen anything." Tonight's fourth and final encounter. A really quite bizarre encounter that sort of sits all alone by itself is a case from the town of Sherman in the westernmost portion of the state of New York in the 60s. Here, a 15-year-old unidentified boy allegedly lived with his family on a rural slash of property surrounded by thick swampland. And it is from this tangle of boggy, dim wilderness that something truly strange would emerge to harass his family. The boy describes how a pair of enormous, sloth-like beasts with shocking white fur would come shambling out of the swamps to roam about the property before crashing through the brush to wherever they came from. He describes the creatures as, "I saw a white monster in the swamp beside our home. I've been seeing these things ever since then and close to our home. One night it came down into our yard. It stands between 12 and 18 feet high. It has a long tail between 6 and 8 feet long. It's covered with hair and it's always white. I've seen them alone or 2 at a time. It can walk on 2 feet or 4. It's almost a double for the prehistoric sloth. My whole family has seen this thing, and I know of 2 more men who have seen them as well. I'm not kidding. I've seen these things, and they are real." All right, guys. So as you can see, there is some sort of government laboratory testing thing that was put on their boat, and I looked into that. And what they do, the government actually takes like one of those pods, and or similar to, constructs a laboratory for nautical research,
puts it on a boat via crane, and they have their lab with complete secrecy and privacy. So that's what that thing is on that boat there. Now, that last comment that I made about the guy having 1 million subs, this and that, I remember this was funny. This guy commented because I had made that statement, and he goes, "He has 1 million subs and you have 45,000. That means he knows more than you." My response to that guy was, does he have more information and knowledge than a scientist because he has more subs than someone who doesn't have a YouTube account? I found it funny. You know, it's like, just because someone has a shit ton of subs does not mean they have any more information than you or I. You know, it means he's fooled that many more people. Anyway, that last video clip, not sure. I mean, you can see a hand. Damn, that's just scary. That really, to me, I wish there was more. I wish we could see if the kid got out of the water. But, like, dude, that hand is black, and it's kind of like scaly. Who knows?
All right, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this middle of the day bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go. And also what makes it a place where people can share their experiences, ideas, and theories, judgment and ridicule free. Just, we're simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. That's all on you guys. I truly appreciate that. Everyone stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and they're definitely dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.